Welcome back to Close Up. Last week, Bill Weld made it official. He's launching a Republican primary challenge to President Donald Trump. We caught up with the candidate on a diner tour in Manchester and discussed how he would chart a different path on foreign policy. Bill Weld is back on the First in the Nation campaign trail in New Hampshire for his first visit as an officially declared presidential candidate, shaking hands and meeting voters during a series of diner stops. In a one-on-one interview with News 9, Weld threw down the conservative gauntlet on two issues he believes will separate him from his primary opponent, President Donald Trump. He wants to cut government spending and restore a traditional foreign policy that defends liberty and American interests.
I'm not for regime change all over the world and being the world's policeman and boots on the ground, but I think the sum of Mr. Trump's policies amounts to a retreat into isolationism.
Weld also takes issue with the president's approach to foreign leaders like Vladimir Putin and Kim Jong-un.
It's almost as though he hopes that these dictatorial and autocratic features of other countries will come visit the United States of America. That's why I'm so highly motivated. I think the stakes are very high.
The stakes are equally high for the small but vocal group of Republicans who've wanted a GOP challenge to the president. This is the moment they've been waiting for, but they acknowledge Weld's task of peeling the party's base away from Trump will be difficult.
They don't change their mind, no matter what. This is not a rational decision that they've made. It's emotional.
Joining us now to discuss Bill Weld and other First in the Nation headlines, John DeStaso, our political reporter.
Good morning, Adam.
Thanks for being here, John. So what does a win look like for Bill Weld in New Hampshire in February 2020?
That's a good question, because 2020 is not 1968 when Eugene McCarthy got up into the 40s against Lyndon Johnson, essentially forcing him out of the re-election talk. 1992, Patrick Buchanan got 38% against George H.W. Bush, and that was viewed as sort of a win for Buchanan, or at least something that was very damaging to the sitting president. Bill Weld claims that he can win. Of course, that's Bill Weld saying that. I think he's the only one who is. I would say probably in that neighborhood. Bill Weld gets 35% or whatever. People around the country are going to take notice. So his goal is to attract the independent votes, as well as the some more moderate-leaning Republicans.
And he himself has noted that a mortal wound politically can be inflicted here in New Hampshire, and that might be kind of what he's setting out to do.
Exactly.
Endorsements. Do you think we're going to see some of the sort of never-Trumper Republicans in New Hampshire come onto Bill Weld's side, even if they were hoping for John Kasich?
I think they'll wait and see what happens and how Bill Weld conducts himself. I think they would like to. And so I think we could get some endorsements down the road, because I don't really see, at this point, it doesn't look like John Kasich's getting in. And even Larry Hogan, Governor Hogan of Maryland, is coming in this week to New Hampshire. We'll probably learn a lot then as to whether he's thinking about it. He's kind of faded a little bit right now. Endorsements, sure, he'll probably get some. Bill Weld will probably get some never-Trumper endorsements. How effective those end up being for Bill Weld remains to be seen.
Shifting gears, Joe Biden looks like he's going to be jumping in. An announcement is supposed to be imminent in terms of launching a campaign. This is a candidate who has struggled, though, in his previous two campaigns in 2008 and then briefly in 1987.
Right, and the pressure is totally on Joe Biden, being, of course, obviously the former vice president, just as it is on Bernie Sanders here in New Hampshire, speaking about New Hampshire. Bernie, of course, has won New Hampshire. Joe Biden has never really fared that well, although he is a popular figure. He will get a lot of splash and a lot of attention, Vice President Biden, when he gets in, which will probably could be this week, could be certainly before the end of the month. And then we'll have to see as sort of the people start looking more closely at his background, as they already have.
Yeah.
So.
We lost a notable figure in New Hampshire politics this last week. Mark Connolly suddenly passed away, yes. A Democratic candidate for governor in 2016, and he'd been commissioner or the Bureau of Securities. What do you remember about Mark?
Well, I think he has just a brilliant man. I mean, he certainly did so much on the securities front in terms of the investigations, FRM, and he's certainly a big just well respected across the Democratic spectrum.
Always learn something when I talk to him, so he will be missed.